Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man wala. Amma ba'du. Then on this first day on the blessed month of Ramadan in the year 1440 from the hijrah of Al-Mustafa Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, we want to begin to undertake the journey of understanding the Qur'an word for word. And for those who have either been in our classes before or have seen them on YouTube, then normally what we do is we break down the word or the sentence or the ayah or whatever it might be, word for word, and then if there are men in the room, then they each take turns reading them. And those texts which are unvowelized, then we either attempt to vowelize them if they're not too big, or we put the vowels on them on the screen as we go. Before we begin with the Qur'an, and we're going to begin inshallah ta'ala with Surah Al-Fatiha and then Juz Amma. And from Juz Amma we're going to begin with Qul Huwallahu Ahad, then Qul A'udhu Bi Rabbil Falaq, then Qul A'udhu Bi Rabbin Nas, and then we will go back inshallah ta'ala to Qul Ya Ayyuhal Kafirun, so on. We will start at the top of the page as much as possible and work our way down. We're going to read the Qur'an word for word, figure out what that word means, what's the root of it, as well as discuss the grammar. Why is it marfu? Why is it mansub? Why is it majroor or majzoom? And discuss these issues. And then, in this early stage, after understanding the Qur'an in its Arabic context, then we will just explain the tafsir. Just explain it at this point. The point at this first stage is to go over the Qur'an, and then we will read the tafsir word for word and place the vowels on it, and so on and so forth. As for which tafsir we've chosen, and we've chosen the tafsir called Zubdatul Tafsir min Fath al-Qadir. The book is by Zubdat al-Tafsir is by Muhammad ibn Sulaiman al-Ashqar, and we'll talk about him more tomorrow. In the original book, it's an abridgment of Ash-Shawkani's Fath al-Qadir, his monumental work of tafsir called Fath al-Qadir. It's an abridgment of that, and that's what we're going to be going over, and we'll talk about that when we finish this initial page. The last three juz or ajza of this tafsir has been printed as a book called Tafsir al-Ushr al-Akhir, the last tenth of the Qur'an, which is three juz, the last tenth of the Qur'an. And inside that book it has many other things that they printed with it, amongst them being this page, Fada'il Qur'an. Is it available in English? It's possible. But when I was coming home to reach to the class that we're in, I was thinking, why would someone want the English of it? We're going to translate it ourselves, inshallah ta'ala. We're going to translate and we're going to understand it. If you read the English, you are going to be limiting yourself. Now, if you want to read it to compare how we translate it or how we understand it, that's one thing. But to read it as for reading purposes, you're going to be limiting yourself. You're going to be limiting yourself because you're going to be slowing yourself down. The purpose of our classes are for us to understand this religion in its original language, in Arabic. So we should be accessing the Qur'an, the speech of Allah, in its original Arabic. And then from there we should be accessing the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ in its original Arabic. And then the explanations of the scholars in their original Arabic. And so that's the point of these classes. These classes are not feel good classes where I go home and I say, man, like these classes are going to be rough. These classes require effort from us. We're going to have to study vocabulary, look up words to see how we got there possibly, so on and so forth. But in the end, this is the hard grunt work. The English translation is the Snickers bar with no nutritional value, right? It's just something to satisfy you right now, and then later on you're hungry and fatter. So the issue of this is to take the real nutritional value from the Book of Allah and to study it like this. As for those brothers, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah, if any of them have on a headset so that there won't be feedback, then they can raise their hand or something. I'll release their microphone so that we can read. What we're going to do before we actually start the tafsir, we're going to read this page, which was sent out in the PDF or in the link to access the PDF, which the first part of it deals with the fada'il, ta'allum al-Qur'an wa ta'limihi wa qira'atihi, the virtues of learning the Qur'an and teaching it and reciting it. And then after that, we're going to read min ahkam al-qira'at, from the rulings of recitation, meaning some of those etiquettes and manners that we should have when reading, inshallah ta'ala, just so that we can have a basis of what we're doing and have a good foundation, inshallah ta'ala. Are there any questions from there? طيب. Like I said, if any of the brothers, they can do something somewhere and they got a button somewhere, they can raise their hand and let me know they have on a headset, inshallah ta'ala, we will open their mic so that they can read with us, bi'idhnillah. طيب. In this green box here, it says Fada'ilu al-Qur'an. Fada'ilu is the plural of Fadl or Fadila, from Fa, Dad, Lam, meaning a virtue, a praiseworthy quality, like this. Fada'il al-Qur'an. Fada'ilu al-Qur'an. The virtues, this is plural as we said, the virtues of the Qur'an. Over here in this little diamond shape, it says Al-Qur'an Kalamullah. Al-Qur'anu Kalamullah. The Qur'an is the speech of Allah. وَفَضْلُهُ عَلَى سَائِرِ الْكَلَامِ كَفَضْلِ اللَّهِ عَلَى خَلْقِهِ. It says وَفَضْلُهُ. It should be فَضْلُهُ, not a fatah here. وَفَضْلُهُ. And this is something that we come across when reading these books, is that we find mistakes, typos in them that we can fix. وَفَضْلُهُ. Why is it فَضْلُهُ with a dhamma? Because there's no reason for it to be changed. There's no reason for it to be changed from being marfu'. And the origin of words, nouns, and verbs, if there's nothing in front of them, is that they're going to be marfu'. So therefore, there's nothing in front of it. There's no particle of nasb or jazm or jar, and this is a noun, so there cannot be a particle of jazm, but I'm just saying that there is no particle in front of it to change it. So wafadluhu, and its virtue, its status, its special quality, ala, over or upon, sa'iri. Sa'iri means the rest of, or the remainder of, anything else. Ala sa'iril kalam, upon the rest of speech. Al-Qur'an kalamullah. The Qur'an is the speech of Allah. Wa fadluhu ala sa'iril kalam, and its virtue over the rest of speech. Ka fadlillahi. Ka is a particle of jar. It's a harf jar. It's going to make fadl here majroor. Ka fadlillahi. like the virtue of Allah ala khalqihi, over his creation. Ala khalqihi, right? Ala here made khalqi majroor, as well as up above ala sa'iri al-kalam. And the virtue of, and its virtue over the rest of speech is like the virtue of Allah over the creation. Wa qira'atuhu, and its recitation, qira'atuhu, afdalu, is more virtuous. This is called ismu tafdil, where you make something bigger, like we have the word kabir and we change it to akbar. Here we have fadl or fadila, we change it to afdal. Qira'atuhu afdalu, it is the best. Ma taharraka, taharraka from ha ra kaf, this is form 5. Taharraka meaning to move. Bihi al-lisan, and its recitation is the most virtuous of what the tongue moves with. Its recitation is the most virtuous of what the tongue moves with. So the best thing that we could be doing is reciting the book of Allah, especially during this month of Ramadan, in which the Qur'an was sent down. Al-Qur'an kalamullah, the Qur'an is the speech of Allah. Wa fadluhu ala sa'iril kalam, and its virtue over the rest of speech, ka fadlillahi ala khalqihi, is like the virtue of Allah, or the level or the status of Allah over the rest of, or over his creation. Wa qira'atuhu, and its recitation, afdalu ma taharraka bihi al-lisan, and his recitation is the best of what the tongue moves with. Are there any questions? This is going to take some juhd from us. Sa'ir, you typed it different, no problem. Sa'ir means the remaining or other than. Ala sa'ir al-kalam, meaning the other speech, other than the speech of Allah. So for instance, we have Allah Azza wa Jal, and we have Sa'ir Allah. We have other than Allah, meaning everything else besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It comes from the root Sin Ya Ra, and it means, like I said here, the rest of or the remainder of. So the virtue of the speech of Allah over the rest of speech, over any other speech, is like the virtue of Allah over his creation. Understand? The word sayr means to move. So to move on or to go on. Any other thing. The speech of Allah over every other thing that you can pass by and go by. Right? Any other speech that you can pass by or go by or move on or every other speech, then it's the virtue of the speech of Allah is over all those other speeches, is like the virtue of Allah over the creation. Right? Min fada'il, and fada'il, as we said, is the plural of fadila or fadl, and normally it is mamnu' min as-sarf, meaning it does not take a kasra. But since it is in a position here of being mudaf, it is able to take the kasra. So, min fada'il ta'allumi. Ta'allum means to learn, learning. Min fada'ili ta'allumi al-Qur'ani, from the virtues of learning the Qur'an. Wa ta'limihi, and teaching it. Ta'lim, and teaching it. Wa qira'atihi, and its recitation. From the virtues of learning the Qur'an and teaching it and reciting it We have here ajru ta'limihi. Ajru ta'limihi. The ajr, the reward of teaching it. The reward of teaching it. Qala sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, خيركم من تعلم القرآن وعلمه. رواه البخاري. خيركم. Khayr is one of those few Arabic words where it's normal, I don't know how to say it, normal status or state, and its superlative state can be the same, such as we said kabir and akbar, and we had fadila and afdal, right? Or fadl and afdal. Here we have khair and khair. Both of them mean good, better, best. Khair, the same word, means all three depending on the context. Just like kabir is big and akbar is bigger or biggest, then here we have khair and khair, same word. Khairukum, the best of you, and you'll get the meaning by the context. We don't say the good of you, we say the best of you. Man ta'allama, man, whoever. Ta'allama, who learns what? Al-Qur'an. Ta'allama al-Qur'an. Qur'an has a fatah here because it is mansub maf'ulun bihi. It is the object of the verb. Ta'allama, to learn what? To learn the Qur'an. The object of the verb is mansub in Arabic. Khayrukum man ta'allama al-Qur'ana wa'allamah, or wa'allamahu, and teaches it. Ta'allama is form 5 of alif or ayn lam mim. Form 5. Wa'allama is form 2. Right? Ta'allama means to learn. Wa'allama means to teach. Khayrukum, the best of you. Man ta'allama al-Qur'ana wa'allamah. The best of you is who learns the Qur'an and teaches it. Any questions? طيب. Ajru qira'atihi. And these are mudaf ilayh. So we say ajru ta'limihi. Ajru qira'atihi. The ajr of its recitation. قال صلى الله عليه وسلم من قرأ حرفا من كتاب الله فله به حسنة والحسنة بأشر أمثالها. رواه الترمذي. He sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he said, men, whoever, qara'a yaqra'u, qira'a, recitation, whoever reads, harfan, reads what? Harfan, mansub, it's mansub because it's the object of the verb. Whoever reads a letter, harfan, min kitabillahi, min makes kitab majroor, so it has a kasra on the ba. Min kitabillahi. Kitabillahi is mudaf ilayh. So Allah Azza wa Jal, lafdul jalala, has a kasra on the ha. Min kitabillahi. Whoever reads a letter from the book of Allah, man qara'a harfan min kitabillah, falahu bihi. Falahu. Fa is a particle meaning continuation. So we say so or therefore. So, lahu, for him. La is a harf jar, meaning for, belonging to. So belonging to him or for him. Bihi. Bihi meaning the harf. So with that letter, for him, bihi, with it, meaning with that letter. Hasana is a hasana. He gets an ajr. He gets a hasana, a good deed for that letter. Wal hasanatu, and the good deeds, and the good deed or the good deeds, bi ashri amthaliha, are by 10 of their likes, meaning 10 of their kind, meaning every good deed has the multiplication of 10. So, من قرأ حرفا من كتاب الله فله به حسنة والحسنة بعشر أمثالها. Whoever reads a letter from the book of Allah, then he has for it, and because of it, a good deed. And the good deeds are multiplied by 10. They are 10 of their likes. This hadith is related by Tirmidhi. Are there any questions? طيب. قال ابن رجب Ibn Rajab, he said, rahimahullah, فَمُضَاعَفَةُ الْحَسَنَةِ. Muda'afa comes from Dad, Ain, Fa. Here it means the multiplication. If you, for instance, we can see from the word da'if, like a hadith which is da'if, right? Or a believer which is da'if. We ask Allah to strengthen us and to make us all strong believers. So we can see the word da'if. So for instance, if you have some Kool-Aid, and you put a cup of water in it. You have the Kool-Aid pack, you put a cup of water in it. Right? Just one cup of water for the whole pack of Kool-Aid. That Kool-Aid's going to be strong. But if you put another cup, and another cup, and another cup, and another cup, you are multiplying the amount of water you put in, and you are weakening the packet of Kool-Aid that you originally put in there. It's not as strong anymore. Because you multiplied the water, you weakened it. So this is a relationship between the word muda'afa, which is multiplying, and the word da'if. فَمُضَاعَفَةُ الْحَسَنَةِ. So the multiplication of the good deeds, بِأَشْرِ أَمْثَالِهَا, by 10 of their likes, lazim, is required. It's necessary. It's always going to be that way. لِكُلِّ الْحَسَنَاتِ. For all of the good deeds. For all of the good deeds. لِكُلِّ الْحَسَنَاتِ. For all of the good deeds. So the multiplication of the good deeds by 10 of their likes is required, or is necessary, or it's going to happen for all good deeds. It's going to happen. وَقَدْ دَلَّ عَلَيْهِ قَوْلُهُ تَعَالَى. وَقَوْلُهُ, his statement, Ta'ala, the Most High, قَدْ دَلَّ عَلَيْهِ, has given us an evidence from the word dalil. دَلَّ يَدِلُّ. دَلَّ يَدُلُّ. Dalla yadullu, to give evidence, right? Dalil has given us the evidence for that, where Allah Azza wa Jalla says, "Man jaa bil hasanati falahu ashru amthaliha." Man jaa, whoever came or whoever comes, bil hasana. Even though jaa, yaji'u here is in the past tense, it just doesn't mean those who did it before. It means those who did it before, and it's a continuation into the present. Whoever comes with a good deed, bil hasana, falahu, then for him, ashru amthaliha, for him are 10 of its like. So Allah Azza wa Jal, He gives us here a rule. He says that whoever comes with a good deed, all of them are going to have 10 times multiplied. وَأَمَّا زِيَادَةُ الْمُضَاعَفَةِ. As for the ziyada being an increase, like the statement al-iman yazid wa yanqus. Iman increases and decreases. As for the ziyada, the increase of multiplication, al-ashr, over 10, meaning to increase more than 10, fahiya, then that is for, hiya is feminine here because it's referring back to the ziyada. فَهِيَ لِمَنْ. Then this ziyada is liman, is for whoever sha'allahu, whoever Allah wishes, like the word masha'Allah or insha'Allah, for whoever Allah wishes. Man sha'Allah, liman sha'Allah, for whoever Allah wishes. And yuda'afa lahu, to multiply for him. Then this little writing here, this alif ha, is an abbreviation for intaha, meaning close quotes. In Arabic, they don't use quotations like we do. They just say, he says, right? And here referring to Ibn Rajab. And at the end of his statement, they say, intaha. Intaha kalamahu. His speech ended, right? So here, this is what that means. So when you see that in a book, you know that that means his speech has ended, right? So Ibn Rajab rahimahullah said, فَمُضَاعَفَةُ الْحَسَنَةِ. So, inshallah ta'ala, Yasir, daqiqa, inshallah. فَمُضَاعَفَةُ الْحَسَنَةِ. So the multiplication of the good deeds, بِأَشْرِ أَمْثَالِهَا, by 10 of their likes, لَازِمْ لِكُلِّ حَسَنَةِ, is something necessary for all good deeds. Something which is going to happen for all good deeds, right? وَقَدْ دَلَّ عَلَيْهِ قَوْلُهُ تَعَالَى. And the statement of Allah, the Most High, has given us an evidence for that, has pointed us, has directed us to that. When he said, مَنْ جَاءَ بِالْحَسَنَةِ فَلَهُ عَشْرُ أَمْثَالِهَا. Whoever comes with a good deed, then for him is 10 of its like. وَأَمَّا زِيَادَةُ الْمُضَاعَفَةِ. As for the increase of the multiplication, عَلَى الْعَشْرِ, over 10 or above 10, فَهِيَ لِمَنْ شَاءَ اللَّهِ. Then it is for whoever Allah wishes, and يُضَاعَفَ لَهُ, that he increase for him. Intaha kalamuhu. Right? Then, here in this book it says, وَقَدْ تَصِلُ الزِّيَادَةُ. Tasilu comes from waw, sad, lam. Wasala, yasilu, meaning to connect. But here it has a ta because ziyada is feminine. So the verb is going to be feminine. So the ziyada, this increase, reaches, tasilu, wasala, yasilu, reaches, connects, ila sab'amiyati di'fin wa akthar. Up to 700 times. Sab'amiyah, 700. Di'fan, 700 times, or akthar. It comes up to 700 times or more. Like we have the word kathir, meaning a lot. We have akthar. Like we have kabir, we have akbar. وَالسَّبَبُ ذَلِكَ. And the reason for that. بعد دقيقة بعد, right? It's a ظرف. بعد فضل الله, after the virtue of Allah, after the, not the virtue of Allah like up here, كفضل الله, the level of the status of Allah. Here, the virtue that Allah gives us. بعد فضل الله, after the virtue of Allah, the reasons for this multiplication up to 700 times or more, after Allah being virtuous to us, khushu al-qalbi, the humility and the humbleness of the heart, وَالتَّدَبُّرُ, and tadabbur, the contemplation of the Qur'an, or what you're reciting. وَالْفَهْمُ, and understanding. وَنَحْوُهُ, and similar to that. وَالسَّبَبُ ذَلِكَ, and the reason for that, بَعْدَ فَضْلِ اللَّهِ, after the virtue of Allah or the favor of Allah, خُشُوع الْقَلْبِ, So the more your heart has khushu', the more your heart is concentrating and is humble to the Qur'an and to what you are reciting and to your dhikr after the salat and so on, the more in your salat and outside of your salat, then the more your heart is humbled and sincere, then the more the reward is. And the concentration and the contemplation of what you're saying and the understanding of what you're saying. And other than that, then these are the reasons for those rewards to be multiplied above 10. Are there any questions? طيب. He says, Fadilatu ta'allumi, Fadilatu, the singular of Fada'il, which I said earlier. Fadilatu ta'allumi, the virtue of learning. Ta'allumi al-Qur'an. Ta'allumi mudaf mudaf ilay, of learning the Qur'an. Wa hifdhihi, and its memorization. Hifdh. Fadilatu hifdhihi. So it is mudaf ilay to fadila still. Fadilatu hifdhihi, the virtue of its memorization. Wal maharati bi qira'atihi. Mahara comes from the root mim ha ra. Here it means to be, and it has to do with the meaning of being an expert. Bi maharati, bil maharati, the expertise, bi qira'atihi, of its recitation. So fadilatu ta'allumi, the virtue of learning al-Qur'an, wa hifdhihi, and its memorization, wal maharati bi qira'atihi, and the virtue of being an expert, of having expertise in its recitation. Qala sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Mathalul ladhi yaqra'ul Qur'an. Mathal is the example, right? The example, like we have the ayah, which most Salafis memorize. Laysa kamithlihi shay'un. There is nothing similar to him. There is nothing like him. This word mithl here means like or similar. So this word mathal here is a simile or an example. Mathalul ladhi, the example of the one, yaqra'u al-Qur'an, who reads the Qur'an. Yaqra'u fil mudari, present tense verb, marfu', because there's nothing in front of it to change it, to make it mansub or majzoom. Yaqra'u, the example of the one who reads what? Reads the Qur'an. Maf'ulun bihi, mansub, right? With a fatah here. Yaqra'u al-Qur'an, the example of the one who reads the Qur'an. Wa huwa hafidun lahu, and he is a hafidh. Hafidh meaning a memorizer of it. Hafidun lahu, and he is a hafidun lahu, and he is a memorizer of it. Ma'a safarati as-safarati al-kirami al-barara, then he is with, ma'a, he is with, the example of the one who reads the Qur'an, and he is a memorizer of it. He's put in effort. To memorize it makes you like an expert. You've put in time. If I can ask you and point to any point in the page and tell you continue, you become an expert. So he's a hafid lahu. He is ma'a, he is with as-safarati al-kirami al-barara. In general, these three words, we can sum them up and say al-malaika, the angels. This is what is meant by as-safarati al-kirami al-barara. However, let's read them and understand them. When you look online and you say, what is the meaning? Ma ma'na as-safarati al-kirami al-barara, they're going to say al-malaika. Many of the tafsir or the shuruh of this hadith, they just say al-malaika, right? Giving an explanation. But the word safara is the plural of safir. And we don't mean a traveler, musafir. We mean katib, one who writes. The angels, as we know, they write down stuff. It also has the meaning of rasul, a messenger, because the angels are sent to mankind, right? Ma'a safarati, right? He will be with those scribes, those kiram, those noble scribes, meaning the angels. Al-barara. Al-barara comes from the root ba-ra, and it has the meaning of al-muti'un here, meaning obedient. For bir, when we say laysal bir, it is not righteousness, it is not bir, that you turn your face towards the east or the west, right? The word bir has the meaning of obedience. So he says, ma'a safarati al-kirami al-barara, with the obedient, noble scribes, meaning the angels. The person who recites the Qur'an and he's a hafidh of it, he is with the obedient, noble scribes, meaning the angels. وَمَثَلُ الَّذِي يَقْرَأُ الْقُرْآنِ, and that's the same thing. And the example of the one who reads the Qur'an, وَهُوَ يَتَعَاهَدُهُ, and he يَتَعَاهَدُهُ. This word comes from Ain Ha Dal. This is form 6, and it's hard to find it in a dictionary. It's not even in the Hans Word Dictionary. Form 6 is not in the Hans Word Dictionary, right? Yata'ahaduhu, here hu meaning the Quran. So yata'ahad is form 6, and we know form 6 means to go back and forth between something, right? To have this reciprocation. Here it has the meaning of yudbituhu wa yatafaqaduhu, means that he gets it and then he loses it. He gets it and then he loses it. He's not a hafidh. He tries, he gets it for some time, but then he forgets it. But it also has the meaning of that he tries, not that he just memorized it once and then didn't put any more effort. No, he gets it, he loses it. He gets it, he loses it. He gets it, he loses it. Right? فَمَثَلُ الَّذِي يَقْرَأُ الْقُرْآنَ وَهُوَ يَتَعَاهَدُهُ, and the example of the one who reads the Quran and he is struggling with it. He's back and forth with it. وَهُوَ عَلَيْهِ شَدِيد, and it is upon him shadid. It's hard upon him. It's difficult upon him. Shadid. فَلَهُ أَجْران, then for him are 2 rewards. So the one who becomes proficient in the Quran, he's with the angels. And the one who struggles and tries, then he gets 2 rewards. Muttafaqun alayh. Right? Agreed upon, meaning Bukhari and Muslim. And here he says, وَصَفَرَ الْمَلَائِكَةِ. Right? وَصَفَرَ الْمَلَائِكَةِ. Those are the angels, the scribes. Any questions before I continue with the next hadith? طيب. وقال صلى الله عليه وسلم. If you do, just type it or whatever. وقال صلى الله عليه وسلم يقال لصاحب القرآن. يقال. Here, this is passive. It will be said. Not يقول, he says, but يقال, it will be said. لصاحب القرآن. Li is a harf jar, here making sahib majroor. لصاحب القرآن. مضاف مضاف إليه. It will be said to the companion of the Quran on the day of judgment. It will be said to him, Iqra. This is a sukoon here because it's a command. Iqra. Wartaqi. Wartaqi. This is also a command, but because it has a weak letter at the end, the sign of it being majzoom is the hadaf al-harf al-illa, the dropping of the weak letter. Wartaqi. Wartaqi means sa'ada, sa'uda, to raise up. So it would be say, read and rise. Iqra wartaqi. read and rise. Warattil. Warattil, meaning do so in a slow fashion. Like the word tartil. Rattala, meaning to be in a slow, melodious fashion. Not alhamdulillah like yawm. No. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Slow, melodious. Warattil. Kama, just like. Kunta, you used to. Turattil fid dunya. Like you used to recite slow and melodious in the dunya, in this life. فَإِنَّ, for verily. Manzilataka. Manzilata has this fata on the tab because of inna. Manzilataka, for verily your manzil, your position, your place. Inda akhiri ayatin taqra'u biha. Is inda, is with. Akhiri, the last ayatin. Inda makes akhir majroor. Ayatin is mudaf ilay. Akhiri ayatin, the last ayat, taqra'u biha, that you recite with it. Yuqalu li sahib al-Qur'an, it will be said to the sahib of the Qur'an, the companion of the Qur'an on the day of judgment, Iqra wartaqi warattil. Asif. Iqra. My mouth is getting dry. Iqra wartaqi warattil. Iqra. Read and rise and do so in a melodious fashion. Kama kunta turattil fi dunya, just like you used to recite in the dunya. Fa inna manzilatak, for verily your place, your position, in the akhiri ayatin, is at the last ayat, taqra'u biha, that you recite with it. At Tirmidhi. So what does this tell us? It tells us we should be reciting the Qur'an. The meaning here, it does not say, notice, as some of the scholars have said, the meaning here is the last ayat that you memorize. But some of the scholars say, no, it doesn't say that in the akhir ayah, hafiztu biha, or hafiztuha. It says the last ayat that you taqra'u biha, that you recite it. So if you recite the Qur'an, and the Qur'an is constantly, even if you're not memorizing, even if it's difficult upon you, and then you get two rewards, to be reciting the Qur'an constantly, right? On the day of judgment is going to tell you to recite like you used to recite in the dunya, and you're going to be at the place where you did it. But if all you do is just read a little bit here and there, you're going to stop. Let's read what Al-Khattabi says if there's no questions. Al-Khattabi, who is from the early generations, and he was the first one to write an explanation of a book of hadith. He has an explanation of Bukhari, he has an explanation of Sunan Abi Dawood, and other than that, he's the first one to write an explanation. He said, rahimahullah, Ja'a fil athar. It has come in an athar, in a narration, in like the word hadith, but the word athar is used for, usually, for the Sahaba or the Tabi'een, not used for the statement of the Prophet, but it could be used interchangeably. Ja'a fil athar, it has come in a narration, in a tradition, anna, that adad al-ayah, adada mansub after anna, ayah is another word like ayat. It's kind of a plural. It's called a collective plural in English, right? This means ayah, like the word ayah. It just doesn't have the ta marbuta there. And adada ayah al-Qur'an, that the number of ayats of the Qur'an ala qadri daraj al-jannah, is upon the qadr, the amount. Like adad is number, qadr is amount. Like the qadr, the decree of Allah, the qadr of Allah is what has He decreed for you. How much has He decreed for you? The amount He has decreed for you. The amount of days, the amount of money, the amount of happiness or sadness. Qadr, the amount. Daraj al-Jannah. Daraj is the level of paradise. Daraj al-Jannah. So the number of ayats of the Qur'an are the number of levels in paradise. The number of levels in the Qur'an are the number of levels in paradise. فَيُقَالُ لِلْقَارِئِ, so it will be said to the reciter, al-qari, the reciter, irqa, which is just another version of irtaqi. Irqa, rise. Fi daraji, in the levels. Ala qadari, according to the amount. Ma kunta taqra'u min ayal Qur'an, raise in levels according to the amount of what you used to read of the ayat of the Qur'an. Faman istawfa, faman, so whoever, istawfa, from waw, fa, ya, or alif maksura, here form 10, meaning whoever completes or brings the full value, qira'at mistawfa, qira'ata jami' al-Qur'an, qira'ata jami' al-Qur'an, whoever brings the full recitation of the whole Qur'an, or whoever brings the full recitation of all of the Qur'an, istawla ala aqsa daraj al-Jannah. Istawla from waw, lam, alif maksura. This is a word which the Asharis and other than try to change and make tahrif in the Quran. They say instead of Ar-Rahman al-Arsh istawa, they say Ar-Rahman al-Arsh istawla, meaning to take over and to gain mastery and control of. So, man istawfa qira'ata jami' al-Quran, whoever comes with the recitation of all of the Quran, istawla ala aqsa daraj al-Jannah fil akhirah, then he will take over, he will take control of Aqsa, like Masjid al-Aqsa, the farthest masjid. Masjid al-Aqsa is called the farthest masjid due to what's in the Quran in Surah Bani Israel, Surah al-Isra. Right? He takes over the farthest daraj, the farthest level of Jannah fil akhirah, in the hereafter. So the levels of Jannah are according to the ayat of the Quran, right? And you will raise in one level with every ayat that you recite in this dunya, right? So whoever comes with all of the Quran will take over and achieve the farthest level, in the farthest level of Jannah in the hereafter. وَمَنْ قَرَأَ, and whoever read juz'an, read what? Juz'an, a part or a portion, minhu, from it, meaning from the Quran. Kana raqiyatu fana, kana, then his raqiyuhu, his rising, fi daraj, in the levels, ala qadri dhalik, is according to the amount of that. So whoever just read some, he used to like Surah Yasin, and he would read that a lot. Then on the Day of Judgment, he will be according to those levels. فَيَكُنْ مُنْتَهَا الثَّوَابِ, so it will be muntaha, like this word intaha that we had up here. The end, or the end of his thawab, of his reward, of his ajr. Inda muntaha al-qira'ah, at the end of his recitation. Intaha, end of khatabi speech. So the end of his reward, the end of his level, will be at the end of his recitation. Are there any questions?
Do you know if it's I guess I won't say mandatory, but do you have to read it in Arabic, or can you just read
the Quran is in Arabic. The Quran is not in English. All praises due to Allah, the Lord of all creations, most merciful, most gracious, most merciful, Master of the Day of Judgment, is not Quran. Bismillah, Alhamdulillah. This is not Quran. This here is not Quran. This is English letters. The Quran is Arabic. Right?
No.
أجر من تعلم ولده القرآن. تعلم ولده القرآن. The reward of who? His son learned the Qur'an. His son learned the Qur'an. Or, yeah, his son learned. Fa'il, waladuhu. His waladuhu, his son learned it. It's the fa'il, marfu'. His son learned the Qur'an. What is the reward of the one whose son learns the Qur'an? قال صلى الله عليه وسلم من قرأ القرآن وتعلمه وعمل به. Whoever recited the Qur'an. And some of these words which we've gone over a lot, I'm not going to keep going over them for time purposes, right? Plus, we should be learning them. من قرأ القرآن وتعلمه وعمل به. Whoever recited the Qur'an وتعلمه and learned it وعمل به and acted according to it. Ulbisa from lam ba sin. He will be dressed. Right? They will be dressed here, as we're going to see, but he will be dressed. He will be made to wear. Walidahu. Walidahu meaning his parents, his two parents. Walida is marfu'. Right? Na'ib al-fa'il. Because ulbisa is majhul. It's passive. Walidahu, his parents will be made to wear. And the noon is missing because we added this ha, if we remember that rule. Whenever you have a dual or a plural which ends in the noon of duality or plurality, then you lose the noon when you connect it to something. Walidahu Yawm al-Qiyamah. His parents will be made to wear Yawm al-Qiyamah, on the day of judgment, tajan. What will they be made to wear? Here's your object of your verb, taj. A crown. Min nur, from light. Daw'uhu. Do from dad, wow, hamza. Daw'uhu. Its light. Its brightness. Mithlu do is shams. Is like the dough of the shams. Mithlu makes dough majroor. Mithli dough is shams, like the light or the brightness of the sun. Wayuksa. Wayuksa. From kaf, sin, ya, meaning also to be made to wear. But here means clothing, right? They will be given to wear. Walidahu, his parents. What will they be given to wear? Mansub, the object of the verb. Hullatain. Two hullas, meaning two garments, like an izar and a ridda, or something for the top and the bottom. Hullatain. They will be given hullatain. La yaqumu lahuma dunya. La yaqumu lahuma ad-dunya. Which these two garments, La yaqumu lahuma ad-dunya. Ad-dunya, this life, this whole worldly life, La yaqumu lahuma. Huma referring to the hullatain, meaning they don't have, they can't stand up to. Yaqumu, qama yaqumu. They're not able to stand up to it. The dunya is not able to stand up to these two garments. Meaning it's not worth, the whole dunya is not worth what these two garments are worth. Fayaqulani. So they will say, Yaqulani, the two parents, they will say, Bima, with what? Why? Kusina hadihi. Why were we given these? Why were we made to wear this? Hadihi. These hullatain, this taj. Why were we given this? Fayuqalu. So it will be said, Bi akhdi waladikuma al-Qur'an. Bi akhdi, from akhada ya'khudu, to take. Waladikuma, your sons, the two of you's son. Because your son took al-Qur'an. What did he take? He took the Qur'an. Because your son took the Qur'an. because he memorized it, because he learned it, because he acted according to it, you were given these two. Rawahu al-Hakim. I'm having a problem right now with audio. What is the albis is to made to wear. Yuksa is not necessarily to be worn. This verb is used, for instance, when the Prophet ﷺ gave Omar the two garments that were made from silk, right? And then he saw Omar with them on. And he said, what are you doing wearing these clothes? These garments are the garments of the kuffar, right? Why? He said, but you gave them to me. He said, I didn't give them to you. And he used this verb. I didn't give them to you to wear yourself. And then Umar radiallahu anhu gave them to his brother, who was a kafir in Mecca. So the word here is to give to wear, but not necessarily to wear. Well, albis is to wear. Here, they're going to be interchangeable. Here, they're going to be interchangeable. However, that's the difference, inshallah. Is it clear? And again, I don't have an audio, so Abdullah or Abu Sumaya, you have to type for some reason. Everybody's home. SubhanAllah. It's Kuwait, so everybody's home at this time. They got off work early. Here we go. I hear you guys now. So the difference is
do it.
Huh?
Oh yeah.
No. Labisa means to wear, to actual wear. Here, yuksa means to be given to wear, not to actually wear or put on necessarily. As I said, the Prophet ﷺ gave Omar two silk garments. And then he saw Omar wearing them. And he said, what are you doing wearing these? These are the garments of the kuffar. Why are you wearing silk? He said, but you gave them to me. I said, I didn't give them to you to wear. And he used this word, this verb, ka, sin, ya, meaning to wear. I didn't give them to you to wear. To give them to wear. Right? Not necessarily that you wore them, but you gave them to somebody to wear. Right? Maybe they never wear them. Right? For instance, if I give you a coat, right? If I give you a coat, I gave it to you. Whereas if I put the crown on your head, right? Then I crowned you. You understand what I'm saying? So this would be labisa. I gave it to you. I made you wear it. Whereas the kusiya here means to give them to wear. They put it on when they want. But here, the meaning is going to be interchangeable. But this is the difference in the words. Right? Oh yeah. Our time is about up, and I don't want to exceed the time too much. It's going to take us maybe 2 days or so to read these fada'il. And tomorrow will be shorter, bi'idhnillah, so maybe we'll finish this tomorrow, and then we'll get into Al-Fatiha. But this is important for us to have a good review, inshallah ta'ala. Again, the sound went out. If there's any questions, type them in for me, inshallah ta'ala. If not, then I'll wait a minute. But then I will see you tomorrow, inshallah, at the same time. Wa fikum barakallah. Inshallah, we'll upload this tonight when we get back from Taraweeh. It's going to take a few hours to render, and I won't be home until probably around Taraweeh time. So at that time, we will upload it. And then if you need to review anything, you can. My advice to you is to print out these pages. If you can't print them out all at once, print them out as we go. So that way you can make your notes on the side, inshallah ta'ala. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.